governance works and also work for some higher caste. So before we begin our webinar, I just wanted to say the agenda or probably why we have called young professionals here. So when Brazil's economy was clashed in 1990, Semco sales had been fallen 40% off. And within 3 months, their business was back and their sales are back. Now, what is the reason because of which they are back to the business within 3 months? This was the question asked to all of us when we are studying in School of Inspire Leadership. And we are given some 1 hour time, and within 1 hour we have come up with so many ideas, so many points, and it has come from a holistic thinking because each youngster has a different personality because of which they had come with a lot of points. And to our surprise, many of the points were already implemented in the past. And that was an amazing discussion, which was some fruitful outcomes. Now, after 1 year, we had joined our organizations and we are all pulling the action part in the organizations. So there is less discussion spent, time spent in less discussion and more time is spent on the action part. So I want to just flip this and make this opportunity to listen to young professional views and which are very fresh and also energetic about the current business and scenario. So just to set the context, every organization has their strategies made, right? So they make their strategies based upon some assumptions on a piece of paper with a core goal as success, but not in a normal circumstances like this. After pandemic, we have seen our P&L went up and down and everything went reverse. Some of the businesses are closed, some of them are closed temporarily, and some of them have not affected much. So with this context, I just wanted to start with Hariharan and listen. What do you think? What is happening in the market currently? How do you feel this?
Hey, hi everyone. So very good evening, and hope everybody is safe with your family. Thank you, Andy, for this opportunity. So coming to this topic, so am I audible, right? Anudip, am I audible,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
good.
Go ahead.
See the pandemic which we are facing, which is a really terrible one, and no one has expected in short span of time, which is going to impact the whole world. This is not just like a normal thing which is going over attacking our earth like tsunami or cyclone, which comes and going in 1 or 2 days. So this is a kind of pandemic which we first faced in last century, if I'm not wrong, with a virus named SARS. So, but it doesn't impact our Indians. Still, it was being attacking a Spanish country. So it's called as a Spanish virus still. So that is called a SARS virus. So if you're going through that kind of situation, so how they survive, even though they have lost many lives and their the day-to-day needs. So how did they survive at the point of time? So same way we have to do currently, but the difference which we make down here is the population size is being thrice the day which we face at that time. So the day-to-day needs and the industry levels are gone up. So whatever the technologies we have been booming up. So the technology might not use currently for to save us from this pandemic. But in industry level, yes, correctly you mentioned that many industries have been coming down and we are losing. I mean, we are losing our jobs or whatever the day-to-day needs or whatever things. But still, 90%, as per my survey, 90% of business are taking this as an opportunity. Usually, the business runs based on the challenges. So whenever the challenges comes, none of the businesses lose their mind and they will go down. They'll use these challenges as opportunity they will bring up the business usually. So if, for example, in my organization, wherever the pandemic is occurring, so they're trying to identify the new products to survive this pandemic, new machines in the engineering field portfolios. So this kind of, whenever these kind of products ideas have been coming up, they are making as a service based, and we are going with another business. Here
Okay.
again, we are going to start with another business. So taking this as another opportunity, we are being growing up. We are like, there's nothing like degrowth, but we need to step up with our ideas. That's the only thing I want to say here.
Okay. So, can you more describe about what is the performance of the business, at least in your industry or in your organization before pandemic and after pandemic?
See, performance, if you're asking me, it will be remain same. So that's each target or goal of an organization. So whether we should be improving or we should be stabilized in our performance. We should not degrowth in our performance. So how we are being utilizing our business continuity plan. So for example, if any pandemic has been occurred, every organization has their own business continuity plan. BCP it is called as. So BCP is nothing but, so at any cost or any situation, the business has to run with some kind of process or certain things. So that is called as business continuity plan. So how the business continuity plan is been handled by the organization at particular point of turnover. Turnover in sense of, for example, the month of March, we have started facing this pandemic. So from the month of March to April end, this 1 month period of the time will be the crucial time for every organization to how to position their organization in the BCP path. So if any failure,
Right.
if anything goes wrong here, so entire organization will be losing their performance. So that will be going to degrowth. So in this case, I would like to say one of our senior member in our TCS organization who handles this IT infrastructure services for entire business of TCS Globe has passed away because of over stress of this pressure. So he has worked
Right.
24/7 because this has to be done within 1 month period of time. Sorry, I couldn't remember his name, but 24/7 he has to work because in 30 days period of time, this BCP to be enabled and this need to be
Mm.
stabilized with entire. This is not a simple, a small sized organization. It's 4.5 lakhs people working in the organization. So how this BCP
Right.
has been positioning in the organization is a very much path here. So that's a root cause of the performance. The performance will
Right.
always will be there. If something is not enabling to the employees, then obviously performance will go down from the employees and it leads to a lot of disengagements. And this is the what the performance all over. So it's based on industry wise also. So if you're taking in the IT segment, yes, it's good. Everywhere it's going good because of BCP is all settled well. So there is nothing to be impacting large scale size industries. Yes, in small size scale industries, it's there impacting because of the, not because of the performance, because of the losing the business. So that's happening, yes. But if you're taking in
Okay.
automotive industry or any industries, I am not much aware, but whatever I've read in with article is, yes, they have lost their sales part, which is the main root of their business revenue growth, and they lost their sales
Mm.
part, and because of the loss, there is no production happening in the back end, and because of there
Right.
is no production, there is no productivity from the employees. So obviously,
Right.
everything is going down from their side. So that's my point of view.
Right. Right. So, thank you. Now, this brings me to the question to Abhinav. So, Abhinav, each organization is made up of several teams, and several teams are made up of individuals. So, how do you see this situation, and also what has brought the best in the individuals? Is it before pandemic or after pandemic? What do you observe in general?
So, Anudeep, I would like to focus like before pandemic, people were more like focused towards their motivation, what motivates them, and then they used to apply that in their working style. But after pandemic, the things have uh, drastically changed. There is a lot of pressure on people in terms of performance. So and growth as well, which we have seen maybe like example of it can be over LinkedIn, like people sharing a lot, doing a lot of courses and sharing certificates. So that shows that people have been now more focused on learning, even if it's not a motivation factor for them. So certainly pandemic has changed the scenario. It's not just about what you want to do, but what is required to uh, keeping the business afloat, and also the career of the individual afloat. So yeah, so again, as you said, like pandemic has to some extent impacted the people's psychology and their needs to be relevant in the industry right now, because as you can see, like not all industries are growing, and
Right.
that also means that not all skills would be relevant. So in order to keep your skills relevant, you need to be on your toes. So yeah, motivation factors needs to
Right.
be to some extent changed. Yeah.
So it's like with a force, people are trying to bring their best, by adapting and by learning new skills. I also see, LinkedIn and other lot of e-learning companies approaching lot of companies, for having their own LMS modules.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
So, Hariharan, what do you think? When does the best in the organizations comes out? Hariharan, to you.
Okay. Yes, Sandeep. Yeah. So as I said, see, when does the best comes? Whenever the organization is facing the challenge. See, whenever the organization running smoothly, there is nothing, you feel a change in the organization performance or improvement, whatever it is. But whenever organization is facing some challenge, so at that time, it creates an opportunity to the organization to show who they are with their goals, missions, and visions. In fact, it makes them to change the mission and vision even, in fact, to the extent. So wherever the
Right.
challenge, so they'll increase the performance.
Yes. Obviously, challenges it definitely brings the best in the society, even it
Exactly.
could be
Yeah.
individual or organization.
Or
So
organization. Yes.
there is a company I wanted to talk about. Zip. It's a Mobisi electric bike company. They solve the last mile delivery problems through by providing electric bicycles in the NCR region. And we have to know that within last 4 months, they have delivered 4 lakh deliveries by, having collaboration with e-commerce companies. So it was a very, it was an achievement for all of them and for the organization. They are very proud of these facts. So Abhinav, what do you think? Does this external calamities like pandemic or situations like this, are the well built strategies could be like with OKR developed strategies? What, considering both of this, what will bring the best and what has brought the best? If you can also have any examples, please share.
Yeah, sure. So one thing which is very like uh, known, that one thing, the company which has the flexible strategy has succeeded to like minimize the impact of this pandemic on them. Uh, and never to say that, like obviously few companies have been beneficiary of this pandemic, like especially the e-learning platforms. Talk about Byju's or Unacademy, they have been umpteen number of acquisitions, and like their growth, the revenues have also like grown manifold many times, if you will talk about even upgrade, to be very precise, because people at home more time and they are doing that. Then there are some businesses like Paytm, if you'll talk about them, like this pandemic has not impacted their business so much. Some sectors, which because they are very diversified business, some sectors like suppose airline booking, which has seen negative growth, but then there are other sectors which has remained stagnant or maybe a better growth as well. But for, if I was talking the example of Paytm, so if you'll talk about them, like their main business is the like the transfer, the e-wallet. So that has mostly been not been impacted much by the pandemic. And if you talk about some businesses like Oyo, so even if they have the best of the strategies, it just couldn't like
Hmm.
overlap the things which is happening. It's out of their control. So yeah, so even if they would have a flexible strategy, they would not have been successful. So once I talked about the businesses which have been able to overcome this pandemic, yeah, to some extent a flexible strategy has helped. Suppose I was talking about Baiju, so they have a tablet and they also have an online sort of platform. So after the pandemic, their tablet sales have grown down because like the sales people which they had, that they are called business development associates, are not able to work on field. But then again, they have adapted so well in terms of their application revenues that it has just nullified it. So yeah, adaptability has helped them, but then adaptability cannot be the solution to everything. Like adaptability cannot be like a substitute for something which is caused by a government regulation, and startups like or the businesses like Oyo have suffered because of them. So even if they would have the best strategy, yeah, that doesn't help much.
Right. That was very nice examples. So, picking a word from your views, which is adaptability. So, I have seen in logistics industry, especially the adaptability of accepting e-way bills has been increased by various customers. Before that, it was very forcible to make them accept the e-way bills. It is a usual manual process for and when the world is moving towards digitalization and forcing us to adapt to this, it took a long time for especially logistics industry. But what was not able to happen several decades, say one pandemic has made this to adapt. So, Hariharan, how does digitalization is impacting business? How is that bringing the best in the best out of in the different processes which are existing in your company or any other industries?
Uh, so could you please repeat again? So the question is the digitization, how it's impacting any organization?
How it is bringing the best in your
Okay.
processes which are not implemented so far, or which you're trying to implement but couldn't implement due to issues.
See, when you're talking about the word digitization, this terminology has arrived in the last decade itself, if I'm not wrong. So 10 years ago, the word digitization occurs and they started converting. So now in most of the industry, at least 75% of the process has been digitized. At least something. So minimum 70% of process has been digitized. Yes, certain organization has not digitized, but I'm not talking about the individual organization, I'm talking about industry level. So I could say is nothing has brought down in any organization for digitization. And yes, this BCP plan, as I talked about, this business continuity plan has been digitized now. So earlier we'll be making it as a manual process of this putting this business continuity plan. So now since no human can be roam in the outside the streets, so this situation we can't able to do some manual process or manual task here. So what they did is, so everything, whatever the human interaction level process has been brought into digitization level, and just delivering the part will be taken as a manual process. But nothing can be 100% in digitization level, but yes. So if you ask me in TCS, BCP is the most important thing we are handled in the month of March to April. In the first 10 days of the process, it's become a huge failure because it makes them to meet a lot of human interaction, and it causes a lot of impact within our organization. And then they plan in these 10 days of plan, our workers, I mean our TCS employees have been sit for 24 cross 7 and developed a digitalization process. I'm talking not only a ground level workers, it's about from head to the bottom. So top to bottom level, everybody is into the, because in 10 days it's achievement to bring on a tool and into the process and become success in the tool is become, it's not a simple factor. So in 10 or 20 to 14 days, in 2 weeks of time, they built it, they done it, and the one of the new digitation process is brought in. And now it's running successfully because, see, this BCP plan continues because now for certain employee who are working in organization, we can make it success. But organization cannot run with only current employees. So there will be some attrition, there will be some new additions. So for the new additions, how the BCP plan should be enabled. So we call this as a secureless border workplace system. So you would have seen in that lot in news also SBWS mode in TCS.
Okay.
So that is called as digitalization process name. So the digitalization name is SBWS. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So digitization of a business, I understood from you, and most of the things are virtually being planned now. So now, if I speak about digitization of all the HR processes, especially in our company, in my last company, I have got opportunity to automate all HR functions. So we have Abhinav here from HRMS product company. So how does currently HRMS products are helping the organizations, to ease the processes or helping them to bring the best? Abhinav, over to you.
Yeah. So like this pandemic, if it has impacted or increased challenges in one domain, it has to be in being an HR. Like you're totally out of a workplace where all your engagement programs or performance enhancement programs are based on. So I guess HRMS has been the savior for HR in most of the parts. Like you also were talking about these tech companies approaching every company in order to provide a module, LMS module. Okay. So yeah, so unless HRMS would have been there, the learning and development activities, because it's completely stalled. You cannot have people sitting in 100 people sitting in a room and having a classroom sort of training. So yeah, all the HRMS software have been facilitator in order to enhance learning for individuals, which is a very much business needs in this times of pandemic for the business to be afloat and as well as grow. And another thing where HRMS I feel have helped is in managing performance. Like if somebody is not working under the manager in front of his eyes, so that does give a chance for the individual to like not be so productive. So you won't be knowing that what work is going on and what all isn't going. But HRMS processes, um, so HRMS softwares have helped the managers to keep an eye on what these people have been doing through timesheets or simple things like attendance. If suppose a company does not have an HRMS system, simply recording attendance would have been impossible. But
Right.
these things have helped in such and in everything, like wherever HRMS exists in onboarding process. Or and another thing where I feel that HRMS have been very successful is also laws, like compliances are there. So HRMS softwares have been instrumental uh, in making HR compliant to according to the government norms. So like if I will talk about our HRMS, that is employee wise. So as soon as you log in, so they would ask you for uh, the status for like from where you are working, your symptoms that you have, any of those COVID symptoms, and if you are in office, how many people are around you, what's the distance. So such sort of people have also helped enhance the safety of the employees, which is very necessary in these times, in these difficult times.
Right. So even in my last company, when we have launched rewards and recognition module in HRMS, it was very nice to notice that at least 600 to 700 badges were given by employee to employee and manager to managers and manage it to employees. So that was actually very nice to, when people expresses themselves and to others when they are very far from offices through this HRMS product. It has given a lot of happiness. So yeah, so any other things, Hariharan, would you like to highlight since we will end in 5 to 10 minutes?
Sure, Anudeep. See, when had a discussion about this HR digitization process, I want to highlight one point in our organization which had a huge change in entire TCS globe. So, see,
Okay.
TCS has their whole system has been digitized. It's 100% compliance. So I could say that. But how much effective that process we need to see. See, digitization, we're converting from one manual process into digitization is little bit tougher, but it's pretty easy. But once you converted, how that module is been 100% effective. That's the survey we need to make. So here
Mm.
in the staffing part, in past 1 year I was in staffing process, but in that part, for 4.5 lakhs employees, we don't know the competencies. It's not registered in the registration system. So it's
Oh,
just 20 to 30% only there, and it's outdated data. Once this
okay.
pandemic has been started, we can't able to meet the associates. So we don't know what they are doing, what situation they are in, or what kind of skill they work on, when see an associate is, for example, associate is working in a competency called Java, but he wants to change to
Mm.
.NET. But he will be simply telling I worked on .NET. But how could we verify that? So how could we know that his real competency is Java or his aspiration is .NET? So in order to
Mm.
conclude that, now it has been, I mean, from top order management, they have been confirmed that all the associates need to comply with their competency registered in the, in the system with updated
Mm.
resume. So it's
Okay.
pretty easy for everyone now to get the data from system directly without knowledge. I mean, without any interference with associates, and we can able to identify that this competency is really he associate has been worked previously.
Mm.
So other
Okay.
benefit is like, so for example, I don't need to dependent on associate to get the resume for further
Right.
evaluation. For example,
Mm.
associate has completed as one assignment, he's going to move to next assignment. In the mean period of
Mm.
time, he'll be in the bench. So in IT industry, there is a called bench concept.
Right.
Okay. So in that bench concept, we need to identify the competency level, what competency they are in, and what kind of career progression they are being into, and how we need to map with the existing requirement, who is our customer, who is a priority need to be given, and which position is really critical, and which is giving growth to us. So all these factors I need to consider to position him into the next assignment. So in
Okay.
that, in normal situation, we will be meeting the candidates, we will be collecting all the details, and we will be having interaction with associates, everything will be happening. But now it's not happening, nothing is happening. So we don't know what's happening in the other end, and even associate doesn't know what's happening in this end. So how will we bringing in the digitization process? So that has been brought now. It has been 90 to 95% compliance to entire organization. It's even after this pandemic, this is going to be a big change over to the organization with this competency details. So now every department in our HR can able to access these competency details, and they can able to mobilize their future forecasting plan with these competency
Okay.
details available in the organization. So that's one huge
That-
point I need to mention here.
That's nice to know that these facts have been figured out and working on that. Abhinav, do you want to highlight any other thing?
Yeah, one of the most important things I want to highlight is there has been a lot of buzz around how this pandemic has pushed the digitalization process. We were also discussing, and you pointed out one example from logistics sector towards e-bills,
E-webinar.
isn't it? Yeah, e-way bills. So that may be a very good example, but see, we need to understand that whatever is happening due to pandemic is just a reactionary approach, and it's not
Right.
something coming from strategy. So I feel strategy still has the advantage. If it comes from the strategy, that will obviously have an advantage than which is just like a reactionary approach, as we
External
saw
push.
as we saw during demonetization. Also, there were many reactionary approach, like using Paytm to transfer money, but that those were not sustainable. So even we must be very careful when we cherish these changes which has happened due to this pandemic, the digitalization, or company shifted to HRMS in terms of an example. But we must be very wary of these, that about the sustainability of these things, like how much they are sustainable. We cannot guarantee it, and that would be shown only after we move away from pandemic, because some of them obviously I think would be ingrained, but most of them I personally believe are just ad hoc process to just cross this pandemic. But after that, I don't think so. Most of them would be very like relevant after this, and people would go
Right,
back to their habits. That's what.
right. Yeah. So uh, it was a very nice discussion on various topics we have covered about people, teams, organizations, processes, and technology. And there were very good insights. And I personally have learned a few things from here. So we would be writing an article from Juggernaut Pro, and we will publish that and send it to all our participants. So it was very nice discussion. I thank both of you for joining on a Sunday evening and sharing your exciting views and also on various topics, and also your personal examples and about your industries and companies. So thank you very much.
Thanks for having me, Anudeep. It was
Welcome.
Thank you,
really.
Anudeep. Thank you. Anudeep, so
Yes, yes, Ariel.
Anudeep, so one question from my side to you. Uh,
Yes.
so see, so what do you think, if this pandemic has not occurred, will this any business improvement will occur, or any industry? I'm not specific to any industry. I mean, you can it's open. This answer to be open to any industry. So from your point of view, if this March to till date, so nothing is happening, and our globe is running smoothly, whatever we faced before this March month. So do you think that whatever the opportunities we got on new change happened in these 5 months will occur if something is going normal?
Uh,
So what's your opinion
okay.
in that?
Okay. If the meeting ends, and we will just join back in the same one. Okay. So assuming nothing has happened and everything is same, then I would say the organization which has some committed and dedicated people, and the strategies which are being bifurcated to all the teams would go ahead. That's what I see from my experience. And the organizations which doesn't have a real vision or their mission which is bifurcated into the teams were always been stable, and they don't look much for growth as they are satisfied. So it's the organizations which have well capable people mindsets and growth mindsets which move ahead. This is my observation.
Okay, exactly. Yeah.
Okay. So I think the meeting is also end. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Anudeep. Thank you for the opportunity.
Yeah. Bye.